I absolutely love my Moldavite. I love everything about Moldavite. So you can imagine how heartbroken I was after working with Moldavite for a while and feeling like its power had disappeared, like it had gone somewhere or the light switch was turned off on it. So in this video, I'm going to go over 3 potential reasons why your Moldavite might not be working and kind of the resolution to that. So number 1 is the most obvious that you will likely have found just based on searching information relevant to what I'm speaking about here. And that is, have you cleansed your Moldavite? Have you charged your Moldavite? I find that a great way to charge them is just leaving them in the sun. Now you got to kind of feel like what's right with your crystal that you're working with, because they do have varying personalities as well. And something that I really feel powerfully with Moldavite is that the best way for me to charge mine is to just be with it. Now, I know that sounds strange because you're not necessarily a power source to charge the crystal. You would think of it as you're using the power source of this, so you need to separate from it and let this charge on its own. Well, we are, in a sense, crystals, in my opinion. There's a lot of other info on that, but we ourselves are vibrating in kind of a similar way. We are beings of light. We are this 3-dimensional geometric shape in the same way that a crystal is in the way of the tool that we can use it. So why not charge your crystal, or Moldavite more specifically, with yourself? The best way I found to invigorate my Moldavite into excitement and to just be one with me in the circular kind of energy loop is to tell my Moldavite how much I love it. Now, I don't just mean speaking to it. I love you, Moldavite. I mean, in a sense, kind of like, think like Reiki type energy healing. Think of it as harnessing your inner power and your innate love and universal consciousness and sharing it with your Moldavite. Hold it in your hands, hold it close to your heart, be one with it. Even me talking about this, I'm connecting to that energy, and I can feel these waves shooting through me of electricity is how it feels like to me. And so I'm telling you right now, it totally works. You got to try it. I have an entire video on this about how to charge your Moldavite to full power if you want to check that out. Now, getting into cleansing your Moldavite, the best way, again, is the sun. It really is. And so I give my Moldavite now, after having had it kind of die out on me, I give it an hour every single day in full-blown sun. Every single day I give it that break for me, even though it's sad to part with it. And when I come back to it, it is so fresh. It really responds to that energy well. Number 2. This is really the basis of why I wanted to make this video. And so I really feel like this is very, very true, and it's very true towards the nature of at least my Moldavite that I'm working with and the way that it works with me. So if this resonates with you, give it a try, because it's a total game changer in terms of understanding. And that is that if I've mentioned this in other videos too, but if your Moldavite has a vibration up here, right, and you're down here, and you're working with it to, in a sense, alter your perception, raise your vibration to that of the Moldavite. Well, you will over time, and eventually, the more you're working with it, you will connect with it at such a deep level. In a sense, you become one with it. Now, think about when you hear like a weird kind of like high-pitched noise. It's going to catch you off guard at first. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to hear that and be kind of agitated by it. That is exactly what happens when you begin to work with Moldavite. Now, over time, if this sound, no matter how annoying it is, the longer and longer and longer it goes, eventually you will become less and less aware of it. Your equilibrium in your body is always seeking balance. You will connect with that, and it will just become the way it is, and you won't be noticing it anymore. It's the same reason you don't see your nose when you're looking out of your eyes, because you can, I'm telling you right now, you can look up the scientific information on it. You are always constantly seeing your nose in your field of vision, but you're not paying attention to it, you're not aware of it, because if you were, it would probably drive you nuts. And it's just the way that our brain works. And I believe that it's also the way that energy works. I believe that it's constantly seeking balance. And so, to make my long story short here, now maybe the reason it's not working is because you're at the same level at it. And it's not that it's not working. It's still working. You have just become one with it. So the effect and the lessons that Moldavite is teaching you are less abrasive and being shoved in your face, And it's more so that you have embodied the transformation. You are becoming that new person with it. And so you think maybe that it's lost its power because it's not so abrasive and catching you with all these intense waves of, whoa, spacey. Maybe you just become one with it. And it's not a bad thing. It's really not. I know it can be sad, and this is what happened to end up being the case for me that I realized is it can be sad not when you're apart from your Moldavite, and then you go and you pick it up and it's like, that's really cool. And I really love that. Now I'm more attuned to it, and so I don't experience that as much anymore. And I was kind of bummed about that, but now I realize it's really a positive thing. My work is going successfully. I am raising to my Moldavite's vibration, and I'm so close and resonating with it, and we are such a unit now that my reality is constantly that I don't have to go and necessarily be holding it and feel it come over me. I am that now. And so I'm just not noticing it the same way that I wouldn't notice my nose. So if you really want the power of your Moldavite back, maybe kind of think on what I've just said there, and then realize that you can bring awareness back to it, to feel that, to be one with it again. The same way that you can bring awareness to your breath, but still be multitasking on other things. You don't need to just sit here and only out, in, out, in. You don't need to just fixate on something and only pay attention to that to feel it. These things are always with us, and that's the nature of energy and vibrational energy and the way that it shifts. So you can be washing the dishes and still be attentive to your breath. We have a brain capable of multitasking. We have an energy much more vast than we could possibly fathom. So your Moldavite is still working. That's the main gist of what I'm trying to say. Yes, maybe charge it, maybe cleanse it, but also note whether you've been working with it for a while. Note the changes that you've gone through to the point that you are at now. And maybe this will resonate with you, what I'm saying. And so all I had to do was just bring awareness back to the Moldavite and stop focusing on the fact that it wasn't working. Because when I'm putting attention to the fact that I'm not feeling it, now the focus in my reality is that I'm not feeling it. Energy goes where attention is. And so when I pay attention to the fact that I am just fully one with it now, and there's no need to constantly feel it because I am it. You don't need anything. You can be anybody just based on that in of itself. You don't need anything, So just resonate with that energy of it, because you are the energy of it. And that is what Moldavite is trying to teach and transform us with. So just don't resist it is basically what I'm trying to say. Number 3 is actually something that I do not resonate much with myself, but I can intellectually see it being a possibility. Perhaps it's time to put your Moldavite aside and work with a different crystal. Maybe it's just time to step aside and give it a break. And again, that's not one that I resonate with, at least right now. But I did read that one when I was trying to look into it for myself, and it does make sense. And I can see that, like I said, you do, resonate to that level of it. Perhaps it's time to focus on a different kind of transformational energy. If you feel that Moldavite has stopped working for you, and it's not that you haven't charged it, it's not that you haven't cleansed it, and it's not that you aren't vibrationally at the same level as it, then perhaps it's time to work with something else. Or maybe it's not the right time for you to be working with it, because Moldavite, in my opinion, does have a very intelligent consciousness to it, where I don't believe that it will always be affecting you in very intense ways. It tends to pick the right moments. And so if you feel intuitively that it is not working, maybe intuitively try and understand if this is not the right time for you to work with it. And I promise that when it is time, you will come back to it. It will come back to you, because that is how powerful Moldavite is. So thanks for watching, guys. I really hope that you were able to take something from this. And as always, I'll see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for watching.